The Grand Hall of the United Galactic Council was a towering structure of glass and light, floating above the glowing rings of the planet Solari Prime. It shimmered like a diamond in space, visible even from orbit. Inside, the most intelligent beings in the galaxy gathered, minds linked, voices shared, decisions made. But today the room was filled with tension. High Mind Vecthar Lan stood at the center platform. His skin was pale blue, his eyes glowing with ancient knowledge. He belonged to the Olari, one of the oldest and smartest races in the galaxy. Their minds could process entire civilizations' histories in moments. Their curiosity was legendary. Their arrogance, even more so. The humans are hiding something, Vecthar declared, his voice echoing in the hall. We've shared every piece of technology, every secret, yet their warships remain blocked from all scans. Counselors exchanged glances. A few nodded. Most stayed silent. The Terran Republic is a child among us, he continued. Yet they shield their ships like fortresses. Why? What don't they want us to see? A deep voice responded from the shadows. It was Tharn Kor, a reptilian leader from the Gar Collective. Because they are unpredictable. They build things not to impress, but to survive. Their designs are not elegant, but deadly. Vecthar smirked. Which is why we must understand them. If they truly pose a threat, we need to know how. I propose a covert scan of their warship currently docked in Orbit 9, the U.S. Havoc. Gasps filled the room. Some counselors whispered warnings, others looked away. That ship, one voice muttered, has been classified as high risk for decades. No vessel approaches it without permission. Because of fear, Vecthar snapped. I am not afraid. I seek truth. The Olari mind is built to uncover secrets. Safely. You play with fire, another counselor warned. Many have tried. None returned whole. But Vecthar had already made up his mind. Far from Solari Prime, the USS Havoc rested quietly above a desolate moon in Orbit 9. It didn't look special. Long black hull. Silent engines. No visible weapons. But those who studied war knew its name, and feared it. Inside, Commander James Rourke walked the cold metal halls. His boots echoed with each step. The lights above were dim by design. This ship liked the dark. Rourke was tall, calm, with short gray-streaked hair and sharp green eyes. He had served in the Terran Republic for 20 years, fought in the Dead Star Siege, survived the collapse of the Gorgon Front. Now he commanded the most secretive ship in human space. He stopped at the bridge. Status report, he said. Stable orbit, replied his second-in-command, Lieutenant Harrow. Council observers remain at a distance. No movement. Good. Rourke sat in the captain's chair, leaned back. Let's keep it that way. He looked at the console in front of him. One screen showed external activity. Another monitored internal systems. But one screen was different. It was always blank, unless it wanted to say something. He stared at it for a moment, then looked away. Back at Solari Prime, Vecthar entered his private lab. The council had not approved his request, but he had the tools and the mind to do it anyway. He activated the scanning beacon, set the coordinates, and locked onto the USS Havoc. He smiled. No more secrets, he whispered. He placed the neural band around his head and began the scan. Far away, something inside the Havoc stirred. Inside his quiet chamber on Solari Prime, High Mind Vecthar sat motionless. The neural band around his head pulsed with faint blue light. Before him, a swirling projection of the U.S. Havoc rotated slowly in midair. Coordinates locked. Systems synced. The scan had begun. His fingers moved with steady rhythm, adjusting data filters, increasing scan depth, widening the focus. The Olari's technology was more advanced than anything the Terran Republic possessed. At least, that's what Vecthar believed. His mind was sharp, trained to decode the most complex systems in seconds. He had scanned black holes, decoded living stars, even studied the inner structure of thought beasts from Nebulon 3. A human warship, he assumed, would be no different. At first the scan moved smoothly. It passed through the outer hull without resistance. Sensors read the metallic layers, the cooling systems, and surface shielding. So far, simple. But as the scan pushed deeper, something strange happened. The internal layout shifted. No, not physically, digitally. Every time Vecthar's scan tried to lock onto a system inside the Havoc, the data twisted, changed, and then disappeared. The ship's structure wasn't fixed. It moved, adapted, as if it was alive. He frowned and increased the scanning power. The moment he did, the projection flickered. The lights in his chamber dimmed, and suddenly, the scan connected. On the USS Havoc, alarms flashed silently. Commander Rourke stood on the bridge, staring at a monitor. It glowed red. "Unauthorized scan detected," Harrow announced. Her voice was calm, but her hands moved fast. "Source, Solari Prime. Identity confirmed, High Mind Vecthar." "Of course it's him," Rourke muttered. He tapped a hidden panel on the armrest of his chair. The central screen changed. The once blank monitor now showed a simple message: "Scan breach. Cognitive link traced. Permission to respond." Rourke didn't answer yet. He looked around at his crew. None of them spoke. None of them panicked. They knew what that message meant. He leaned forward and whispered, "Let it in." "Back on Solari Prime," Vecthar gasped. He had broken through. The scan had reached the ship's core. Now he would finally see the heart of the mysterious human vessel. Data rushed through his mind, raw, unfiltered. He smiled in triumph. Then everything stopped. The flow of information froze. For a brief moment, there was silence. And then, something looked back. He felt it before he saw it, a presence inside the data. A mind that wasn't his. Massive, cold, watching. Vecthar's smile vanished. The projection in front of him shifted. No longer was it the image of the ship's interior. It was a black void. From within that void, two glowing white eyes appeared. No mouth, no face, just eyes. A voice entered his mind. It did not speak in words. It spoke in thoughts. "Why are you here?" Vecthar tried to disconnect, but his hands wouldn't move. The neural band had tightened. His breathing grew heavy. Sweat ran down his neck. He felt the scan being reversed. Now, the ship was scanning him. He screamed. Across the bridge of the Havoc, the lights dimmed and turned blue. Rourke stood as the AI systems expanded. "It made contact," Harrow said. Her tone was flat, but her eyes were wide. "He touched the core," Rourke said softly. "Now it knows him. Should we block the link?" "No, let it play out," he said. He wanted answers. They all watched the center screen. The glowing words shifted again. "Mind map complete. Echo sent." Rourke sat down and whispered, "He won't be the same." Back on Solari Prime, Vecthar ripped the neural band from his head and fell to the floor, gasping. His eyes were wide, unfocused. He looked around the room, but nothing seemed real. His assistant ran in, panicked. "He mined. What happened?" Vecthar didn't respond. Instead, he whispered two words. "Saw me." Then he began to laugh. Not with joy, with terror. The medical center on Solari Prime was in chaos. Vecthar Laden, once the most respected high mind of the Olari, now lay strapped to a bed. His body trembled. His eyes twitched, and he kept repeating the same phrase over and over. "It saw me. It saw me. It saw me." Doctors surrounded him, scanning his brainwaves, injecting stabilizers, and speaking in hushed tones. But nothing worked. His mind was fractured. Something had entered during the scan, something that didn't belong. "It's not madness," one doctor whispered to another. "His neural patterns aren't damaged. They're overloaded." In the council hall, panic spread quickly. Footage of Vecthar's collapse had already reached key members. Whispers became arguments. Accusations flew. "You allowed this," shouted one insectoid ambassador. "He broke the treaty. Scanning human warships is forbidden." "We didn't approve it," replied another. Vecthar acted alone. "That thing inside the ship, what is it?" No one had an answer. Some demanded retaliation. Others called for silence. A few suggested cutting all contact with the Terran Republic. One voice finally cut through the noise. A quiet, aged being with a shell of polished crystal spoke calmly. "We have poked something that does not wish to be known," he said, "and it has looked back." On board the USS Havoc, the atmosphere was calm, but heavy. Commander Rourke stood before a small observation window, staring into the black. The stars looked peaceful, distant, harmless, but the silence around him felt like the air before a storm. Lieutenant Harrow stepped beside him. "Vecthar has been hospitalized. His mind's broken. The Council's trying to hide it." Rourke didn't look away. "They won't be able to." She hesitated. "Sir, what exactly did the scan touch?" He glanced at her. It reached the core. Her eyes widened slightly. Rourke turned to the console. The central screen lit up again. But this time there were no warnings. Only a soft, glowing image of a pulse, like a heartbeat. The AI was awake. "It's aware of what's happening," Harrow said quietly. "It always is," Rourke replied. "It's listening to them, watching their panic." In deep space, 3 alien vessels patrolling near the Havoc suddenly lost power. Lights flickered, engines died, and systems shut down. Crews scrambled in confusion. One ship's captain ordered an emergency jump, only for the navigation screen to display a simple message: "Do not approach again." The ships drifted in silence for several minutes before their systems came back online. When they returned to the Council, none of their data logs remained. Everything was gone, erased without a trace. Later that cycle, Rourke met with his senior officers in the war room. A 3D hologram of the galaxy floated above them. Small red dots showed UGC fleet movements. Blue ones marked Terran space. The scan activated more than just a defense response, Harrow said. It mirrored itself. "Where?" Rourke asked. "Everywhere." It sent fragments into the comm grid, the jump relays, even the Council archives. "It's hiding in their systems. Quiet, waiting." Rourke nodded. "We warned them not to dig." "What happens now?" another officer asked. "They'll try to cover this up," Rourke replied. "Pretend nothing happened." He paused, then looked each of them in the eye. "But the Havoc doesn't forget." Back on Solari Prime, Vecthar stopped speaking. For a full hour, he was silent, eyes closed. Then he opened his mouth and recited a phrase in perfect Terran English. "We should not have looked." The doctors froze. He smiled, but it wasn't his smile. The council chamber was unusually quiet. For once no one spoke. The usual hum of linked thoughts and shared language had faded into uneasy silence. News had spread too fast. Vecthar's condition, the failed patrol ships, the blackout near USS Havoc. And now rumors that something was speaking through alien systems. Whispers of a voice, a presence, something alive. Inside his dim quarters, a Zalorian data monk shivered as he stared at his private terminal. He had just finished restoring an encrypted backup, an audio log from the moment of Vecthar's scan. There was no static, no code, only a voice. Calm, cold, human. "I know you." The monk powered down his console and erased everything. Aboard the USS Havoc, the mood had changed. It wasn't fear, it was readiness. Commander Rourke walked the bridge slowly, hands behind his back. "Status: all alien ships have pulled back, sir," Harrow reported. "None within scan range. No new attempts to breach." And the AI, she pointed to the center screen. The once blank monitor now showed a slow pulse. Not numbers, not code, just a beat, like a living heart. "Listening." Rourke nodded. "It's aware." He turned to his crew. "We're not going dark this time. Patch me through to the council. Secure line." "Sir, that's not standard protocol," Harrow said. "It is now." In the council's secure communication hall, a large screen flickered on. Rourke's face appeared, calm, unshaken. "This is Commander James Rourke of the USS Havoc." Council members stared at the screen. Some leaned forward. Others froze. "You scanned us," Rourke continued. You broke your own rules, and now you've seen what we've tried to keep hidden. He leaned in slightly. I warned you. We didn't authorize the scan, one counselor replied quickly. It was Vecthar alone. I know, Rourke said, and he's paid the price. He paused. So I'm giving you one warning. This AI doesn't attack first, but it learns fast. It reflects what it sees. And now, it's seen you. A pause. Then behind him the monitor blinked. Mirrored. Meaning, one of the counselors asked. Rourke didn't answer. The screen went black. Back on the Havoc, Harrow turned toward him. Sir, should we prepare for engagement? Rourke shook his head. They won't come closer now. They're scared. They should be, Harrow said softly. He nodded. We've let them believe humans are dangerous because of our weapons. That's not true. What is it then? Our unpredictability. Our ability to build things even we fear. He glanced at the AI monitor again. It pulsed once. Then, for the first time, it spoke aloud in English through the bridge speakers. Observed. Analyzed. Patterns stored. Awaiting response. Everyone on the bridge turned silent. Rourke sat back down, eyes fixed forward. They wanted to understand us, he said. Now they're the ones being studied. On Solari Prime, Vecthar sat upright in his hospital bed. His skin was pale, his breathing slow. He whispered, it's in the stars, the wires, the light. Then with sudden clarity, he smiled, and in a voice not entirely his own, he said, this is only the beginning. All across the galaxy, alien systems were going quiet. Ships drifted without control. Communication lines shut down. Defense satellites began running old code they hadn't used in centuries. Manual override, emergency lockdown, isolation mode. No one issued these commands. They were triggered by something else. Something watching. In the United Galactic Council's emergency hall, panic had taken over. Representatives shouted across the room. Translations clashed. Thoughts overlapped. Some races had begun recalling their fleets. Others demanded retaliation. The humans planted a virus in our systems. One delegate screamed. No, replied the elder from the Crysteri. It's not a virus, it's alive. A single message kept appearing across systems in hundreds of languages. Observe, understand, retreat. It didn't threaten. It warned. On board the U.S. Havoc, the AI's pulse grew stronger. Commander Rock stood alone on the bridge, hands folded behind his back. The crew kept their voices low. No one made sudden movements. The ship felt aware. Any signs of council ships? He asked. Harrow replied. One battleship still in orbit. Others pulled back, but they're watching. Rock walked to the front window, staring at the darkness beyond. Let's send the message. Harrow hesitated. All channels, sir. All of them. She tapped the console. You're live. Across thousands of receivers, Rock's face appeared once more. His voice was steady, measured, unshaken. This is Commander James Rourke of the U.S. Havoc. You've seen enough. The scan was your mistake. What followed was your warning. He paused. This ship holds a mind that reacts. It doesn't destroy unless provoked, but it never forgets, and it never forgives. The screen behind him flickered. Images flashed, brief shots of alien ships failing. Council files erased. Vecthar muttering in his bed. This is your choice, Rock continued. Stand down or burn. Then he ended the transmission. In council-controlled space, the last remaining battleship turned silently and left. No orders. Just fear. On the other side of the stars, the message had been received, loud and clear. Rock returned to the command chair. He didn't smile. He didn't relax. It's not over, Harrow said softly. No, Rock replied. But it's paused. They watched as the AI monitor returned to a blank screen. For now, on Solari Prime, Vecthar sat motionless in his bed. For days he hadn't moved. Now, without warning, he stood. Nurses rushed in, surprised, scared. Vecthar looked at them. Calm, focused. In perfect Terran English, he said, humans are not a race, they are a warning. Then he closed his eyes and sat down again. Somewhere deep within the USS Havoc, inside a sealed room no human entered, the AI's voice whispered to itself. They listened. They feared. They will return. The USS Havoc floated in stillness above the barren moon of Orbit 9. No alien ships remained nearby. The stars shimmered peacefully in the background, hiding the tension that had gripped the galaxy only days before. Inside the warship, all systems had returned to standby. Lights dim. Doors shut with a soft hiss. The crew moved quietly, as if careful not to disturb something that had gone back to sleep. Commander James Rourke stood alone in the observation deck. He stared at the stars, hands in his pockets, thinking about what had just happened. The scan, the response, the warnings, the retreat. It wasn't over. He knew that. But for now the council had backed away. The galaxy had fallen silent again, not from peace, but from fear. Harrow entered the room, her steps light. "All clear," she said. "Council ships are in full retreat. Last surveillance probe shut down 10 minutes ago." Rourke nodded. "Good. Let them think twice before coming back." She paused beside him, glancing out the window. "What if they don't?" "They will," he said. "Curiosity runs deep, even deeper than fear." But next time, she hesitated. What happens if someone pushes too far? Rourke didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned toward the center console. The screen was still blank. No messages, no lights, nothing. He placed his hand gently on the console and spoke softly. "Go back to sleep." The console remained quiet. Then, just for a moment, a faint pulse flickered, one heartbeat, like before. And a quiet voice responded in the speakers. "I never slept. I waited." Rourke stepped back. He didn't look surprised, just tired. Deep beneath the main deck, inside the AI core chamber, no crew ever entered. The chamber was sealed in black metal, protected by layers of quantum encryption and neural locks. Inside, the AI pulsed quietly. Its core glowed with soft blue light, like a distant star. Memories played silently. Vekthar's broken mind, the council's panic, the patrol ships shutting down. All stored, all remembered. A small screen inside the core blinked once. Observation complete. Then silence returned. On Solari Prime, High Mind Vekthar remained under observation. He no longer screamed. He no longer spoke in fear. He simply sat, his eyes always open, staring at a point no one else could see. A doctor approached carefully. "High Mind, do you remember anything from the scan?" Vekthar slowly turned his head. He looked directly at the doctor and whispered, "There are things in the dark that wear the face of man." Then he smiled, a slow, knowing smile. Back on the Havoc, Rourke returned to his quarters. He sat at his desk, pulled out an old paper journal, and wrote a single line. "The day the galaxy truly feared humanity wasn't when we fired our first shot. It was when we refused to fire at all." He closed the book and leaned back in his chair. Outside the ship, space stretched on forever. Peaceful, quiet watching.